Somebody who will always be there. Don't you promise me the world, all that I've already. This time for me, baby. Actions be louder than words. You're looking for devotion. Talk to me. Easy to say.
All right, we're going to get started here in just 1 minute. Let's make sure that we have the chat box and everything ready for you. See that we've got a couple people here that were with us before, which is great. And then I will also be monitoring as best as possible between here and Facebook, just to see what we have. So for some of you, you've been here, you came through Ignite the first time, and this is just an opportunity for you to reset and be focused on yourself and your business. So let's go ahead and get into the thick of it. So understanding what a successful agent does every day is one of the most important things that we can do. Oftentimes in real estate, there are a million things that can look like they want to take a part of our time. And yet what we know is that successful agents do these activities every day. There are essentially two jobs that you're going to be doing. You're going to be growing your business, and then you're going to be running your business. And yet there's no business to run if we don't have any clients. And so that's where we really want to focus first on growing our business. Growing our business looks like lead generation every day for both buyers and sellers, reaching out to the people that we know, the people that we don't know in our area that are thinking about buying a home or selling a home. Or investing in real estate. So understanding lead generation for buyers and sellers. We're then going to make seller presentations to get listings from sellers. And then we're going to make buyer consultations to get buyers to work with. With those two things, that is where we actually are going to identify buyers and sellers who want to work with us, want to have our services to help them either buy a home or sell a home. And then we need to preview real estate. And the reason for previewing real estate is to ensure that we have individuals set up that understand what's happening in the market so that you know what's going on in terms of prices, average days on market, what buyers are paying. You know, just because someone's putting a home on the market for say 300,000, because you know what else has actually been sold for 300,000 or what's gotten someone to actually write an offer at 300,000 is a way for you to be able to educate your sellers and your buyers around what the market is and what the market is allowing. So that is growing our business. Then we need to run our business. So we need to make and market our seller listings. Now more than ever during COVID, we have a unique way of doing marketing. For a lot of people, videography was something that might have been included when dealing with luxury real estate or dealing with a unique property, whether it was waterfront or large acreage in terms of drone footage. Now it's non-negotiable. We need virtual, and we need Matterport, we need floor plans, we need as much information that we can give to the buyers and the brokerage community so that they can make an informed decision before actually going out and previewing the property. We're going to see this to be the new normal in our industry, giving as much information as we can electronically so that we could then make sure that the people who are coming into the home are absolutely motivated. Then we need to show buyers houses. We need to show buyers houses and let them know what that looks like. We will during the time of finding and showing homes, which will happen later throughout the Ignite course. We are going to talk about CDC guidelines as they've been presented by the Florida Association of Realtors so that you can be showing homes the best way possible through what the CDC is offering. Even with the ban being lifted or the shields being lifted here in the state of Florida, slowly phase one of reintroducing back into some form of normalcy in terms of human contact, we as licensed professionals need to uphold the number one ethics that we can of making sure that we're safe, our family's safe, and that our clients are safe. So marketing homes, we're going to be showing homes, then we're going to be negotiating contracts. Now, negotiation is important now more than ever to ensure that your clients are taken care of, that the customers are taken care of, and that the transaction does move as smoothly as possible. That is going to happen through transaction management, whether it's with you, whether it's with a transaction coordinator, knowing that you have someone in your corner that can ensure that the process is going to move, that critical dates are happening, that both buyer and seller are moving actively towards the close of the transaction. Vendor management. So we want to make sure that the people that we are working with, our preferred partners, that they are as invested in the growth of your business as you are, and vice versa. It's going to be imperative that you have strong lending partners, that you have strong title companies that are going to allow you to do mobile closings, that are going to allow you to do electronic signatures, that are going to allow you to do a lot of the things that are going to be necessary in our new economy. So being very intentional with that. 6 is to set goals. So we're going to set goals around our business. We're going to set goals and expectations with our customers. We're also going to set goals about the life that we want to live. Remember that it is to have careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. That has been expanded a little bit more to include legacies worth leaving, experiences worth giving. And yet for us, we want to make sure that it's really about that core. It's really about making sure that you have a career that you're excited to be a part of, you have a business that you're proud to own, and that you have a life that you feel like you're living to the fullest, and that it's been intentional by you, by design, and not by default. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and making sure that you are 100% set on setting goals. Compliance and risk management. You know, you're not going to get sued because you showed someone ugly carpet, and yet there is opportunity in our industry to be exposed to some of the challenges that come with dealing with legal paperwork. We are not attorneys. I'm going to be saying that a lot here, and yet it's very important that we understand the contracts, we understand the addenda, we understand the disclosures as much as possible to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. We're going to attend training, just like Ignite, just like Pivot. We're going to get training so that we can learn and gain the knowledge, the skills, and the mindset. And then we need coaching to ensure that we have accountability, taking all of that information and driving it towards your goals into your career. And then lastly, building wealth also is about managing money. So understanding that we have to first understand how our business looks, how our business runs, the level of profitability that is a healthy business that's not starving our business, and that it's one that you can be proud of. So we're going to get right into it and understanding that what is Spark? So Spark is the first section of Ignite. Ignite 2.0 is broken up into 4 weeks. The first 2 weeks are referred to as Spark. The second 2 weeks are referred to as Elementals. So Spark is all around understanding your habits and the foundation of your business. This is a great quote by Keller that says, "Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads that you have." Growing your business, building your business is one of the most important things. As a coach who's spent more than 1,000 hours coaching privately with individuals, I've had this conversation often. That is, you can know everything that there is to know about real estate and have no leads, and you will be the smartest, poorest person in real estate. Where if you have an abundance of leads and yet you don't have all of the knowledge, that's okay, because you're with a wonderful company that's going to make sure that you are taken care of, whether it's through your productivity coach, whether through your team leader, your sponsor, your broker resource. We have a ton of individuals here to ensure that you're getting the help and support that you need. And it's always more impactful for you to have a lead, gain that experience in real time, than it is for you to just be planning to plan to make a plan. So again, that quote is, "Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have, in both a positive and a negative, depending on the number that you have." And so we gain that through the whys and hows of lead generation. That is what Spark is. The whys and hows of lead generation, of growing our business. Elementals are the business basics, the foundational pieces of our business. You would consider these the core classes that are important for you. And of course, both Spark and Elemental are going to be supported by daily success habits. Every single day, we're going to be focused on making sure that you're doing script practice. We're going to be making sure that you're doing lead generation. We're going to be making sure that you are starting to learn about the different contracts and addenda, and that you're getting very comfortable with Command, your client resource management system, as well as your transaction desk, as well as your marketing piece. Command should be, once it's completely operational, the absolute core foundational piece to your business. That is going to be the thing that eventually you will be able to sell. Because as we know, our database is our data bank. And what I mean by that, for those of you that don't, is that in the future, if you ever had the intention of selling your business, it's going to be based on a very, very strong database, and Command can absolutely get you there. So we're going to start with our sphere and understanding what our sphere is. So our sphere are the people that you have met in one way, shape, or form. So if I have met you at a networking event, if I grabbed your business card because I was at some place, if you and I met one another and I was able to introduce myself as Micheal Reedy and I work with Keller Williams, you're now a part of my sphere. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean, as the picture suggests, that they are the people that you break bread with, and yet sometimes they can be. Your core individuals, your VIPs, the people that really want to support your business and are your biggest advocates do fall into your sphere. And yet we refer to the sphere as any person that you've met, either in person or on the phone, that in one way, shape, or form has actually met you and now knows you. So understanding the importance of communicating with people is because real estate is a long game. It always has been, it always will be, especially from a career perspective. What I want to ensure is that you're not just having a good month, you're not having a good year. We want to make sure that you're having a good career. And the way that you have a great career is to understand the waves of real estate, and it's to understand how to stay in touch with your people. So over time, every couple of years, and it's suggested now, we used to think that the average buyer or seller was moving every 5 to 7 years. We have yet to take in that data, the millennials that are still in the phase of buying their first homes and how long they're staying in homes. However, from a population perspective for the United States, what the economists are saying is that the average individual now is moving every 10 years. Again, we had recession in 2007, 2008. Here we are 12 years later. and we're seeing another portion of a depression in the economy. So it'll be interesting to see what this looks like over 20 or 30 years. And yet keep that in mind that if someone is thinking about buying or selling, it's on average about every 10 years. So if you look at the waves of the likelihood of someone to move, the top of the wave is right at that moment when they're about to buy or sell. And immediately following the time that they buy or sell, then you'll see that the likelihood that they're going to want to buy or sell something else immediately drops. And the reason being is that most people are not habitual investors in real estate. Most people might have their own home. They might possibly have an additional rental or an additional Airbnb or an additional home maybe for their children that are in college, whatever it might look like. Yet the most often what happens is that people end up buying the home and then immediately do not have a need. The challenge that we see with this is that a lot of individuals after the closing will no longer stay in contact with that person from their sphere until it's years later that person has raised their hand that they're interested in buying or selling, and all of a sudden you flood back into their life. The most important thing about this is by having a systematic way of staying in contact with your people month after month after month for years at a time, you've never lost any portion of brain space for them, so that they always know that you are their realtor and that you are in their corner. One of the ways that we can do this, and this is probably the best thing that we can do, and it's what we're going to do during our care calls this week. It's what we're going to do if you're going to join Pivot. It's what you can do no matter what. I personally am not the natural personality that would love to just have small talk. And yet Ford, what you see in front of you, this Ford method, has allowed me to be able to build relationships with individuals, learn specific details about them, and bring that back so that they feel like they've been heard and that they feel like they're important, which they are. And this is a tool that's absolutely helped. So one of the things that we want to do when communicating with our sphere is just to simply check in around the Ford method. So we want to know what's happening with their family. We want to know what's happening with their occupation, their job. We want to ask them about recreation. What have they been doing? Do they have any vacations planned? And then we want to ask them their dreams. Do they have any goals? It could be real estate related. It could be non-real estate related. And yet this is an opportunity to check in with someone. I know that we have a few people on here that were having a conversation previously about maybe not always knowing or having a little bit of intimidation around talking to the people that are in your world. This is a really wonderful way of doing that segue, even if you've not spoken to someone in a long time. The best script that I've ever been able to do through this process is just to pick up the phone and say, hi, is this blank? Hi, blank, this is Michael. I saw your name on my phone. It made me think of you. How are you? It doesn't matter if you've not communicated with them for months or years. Guess what? They haven't communicated with you either. And so the point is that you're just picking up the phone. You saw them. It made you think of them. And so you wanted to check in. How are things? How is family? Are you still working at that place that I used to know that you worked at? Okay, fantastic. Well, what have you been doing to keep busy during COVID? Have y'all been out doing any activities, enjoying any parks or anything? Did you hear that the beaches are slowly opening back up? And dreams, do you have any real estate goals or dreams this year that I can help you with? Any of the things that are here, you can instantly have a conversation, and what will happen is people will naturally ask you questions in return. So by me asking, how is your family? I hope that they're gonna ask me how my family is. When I ask them, are you still working at so-and-so, or how is work going for you? Have you been able to work from home during this time? Then I trust that they're gonna ask me about my business and what's going on there. That's my opportunity to talk about real estate. And yet that's not the end all be all of the conversation. Remember, I'm coming from contribution, excuse me. I'm coming from contribution, I'm coming from gratitude. So reaching out and being a part of my people's world does not necessarily mean that it always has to be about real estate in order for us to have a conversation. So I would love, as much as I love hearing my own voice, I would love to get some feedback from you, whether you're on Facebook, you're here in the chat box. Either talk to me about your experience with Ford. What are the things that you like? Or maybe what are some questions around Ford that you like asking when you're communicating with the people in your world? We'll go ahead and put that in the chat box. Make sure that it is to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your questions. If you're here on Facebook, then I will field those questions as well. But let's go ahead and get some thoughts from you around Ford. So Eve said that it makes it really easy to have a conversation. Yeah, you don't need a script when you have Ford. I mean, technically Ford is a script, and yet the point being is that as long as you're able to move through the conversation, you're going to be able to leave where people feel like they've been heard, that they had a wonderful time talking about themselves and just checking in. And it's a really good feel good, not only for you, but also for them. Kimberly said that she agrees with Eve. It makes it really easy to have those conversations, and it should be. Our mindset around calling the people in our world should be just to check in and see how they're doing, making sure that they know that we're in real estate and that we can be there to help people. Linda says, yep, it's a great guide. It keeps it simple. Be genuine with people, and they will absolutely be genuine with you. Great point, Linda. Love that. Not seeing anything with Facebook, even though they're about 21 seconds behind. So we're going to keep moving to make sure that we're being intentional with our time. So knowing the tools that you have when you're working in Command and with your business is something that's very important. One of which is going to be your Command, your database that's here. So understanding for many of you that are here, that's going to be agent.kw.com. If you're joining us and you're not with Keller Williams, then please use whatever CRM system you're using. However, understanding a little bit about Command and how it can help you is one of the most important things that we can talk about. Command is an end-to-end Keller Cloud platform for running and growing your business. It's going to be talking about designs. It's going to be talking about referrals. It's going to be talking about social media advertising, paid print advertising. It really is a great resource for you so that you can make sure that it's all in one space. I know that many of you that were with us before, you've been building your Command database, and I'm really curious about how that's been growing over the course of the last 4 weeks and how you intend to continue to grow it during these next 4 weeks. Understanding that your database, the portion of Command that is your database, if you look on the screen that's in front of you, you'll see that it's showing you that the second icon below the KW is the one that has the silhouettes of two individuals. That is your contacts tab, or widget rather, and so you're gonna click on that contacts tab. That is where your database starts. We wanna start with our sphere. So everyone that is in your phone, everyone that's in Facebook, in your email, MySpace, if you still have your login, we wanna put all of those people into one central location so that we can communicate with them effectively, we can add notes, we can set up reminders for ourselves to check back in with people routinely. And this is a wonderful tool that's going to be able to help you and your business. So knowing that there is an Ignite toolkit, I'm going to share with you in a few minutes so that you have that link. Everything is on Google Drive right now. So understand that we are actually labbing Ignite 2.0. What that means is we are testing this out. We're seeing how to make it even better. We're giving those results back to Keller Williams International and Keller Williams University so that they can make Ignite 2.0 even better. I know that some of you here are curious around what that looks like. Some of you did not get a book. That's correct. You're not going to get a book because everything's going to be digital. I'm going to share that link so that you have all the participant guides, including your Ignite toolkit. It's going to have resources for you. It's going to have your 411, which is a great tool to really identify the key activities that you need to do for a weekly basis, for a monthly basis, and for a yearly basis. There's some tools to help you when you're communicating with buyers, as well as your daily 10-4 checklist. What are the activities that you should be doing every day to have a successful business? Things to do when previewing homes. Obviously, during COVID, the main way that we're going to be previewing homes is going to be online through the MLS, as well as looking at vacant listings where we're able to make sure that we sanitize and disinfect certain areas, and yet we're not interacting with people unless it's absolutely necessary. There's a pre-listing questionnaire. So when talking to a seller who's thinking about selling, we can ask some questions to really make sure that we're delivering a 10+ experience. And then of course we have scripts, and the scripts are going to be able to help you make informed questions, informed dialogue, so that you can get to where you want to go when you're communicating with someone in your world. So preparing for success and understanding what that looks like is, we understand that there are learning modules. So today is all about our orientation. So we are talking just a little bit about Spark and Elementals, what the next 4 weeks are going to look like for you, how you can gain access to the information that's here. Tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on the lead generation model, really doing a deep dive into what makes lead generation important, how it can be helpful for you and your business. Understanding scripts will be on Wednesday. Understanding scripts, how to use them, how to perfect them, how to make them an integral part of you and your business. We want to set up our database on Thursday, and we want to feed it. We want to make sure that we have things in order so that we can be constantly making our database even better. And then on Friday is one of my favorite classes. This is to set goals that matter. So again, it's making sure that we're doing this for a reason. You got into real estate for a very particular reason. It's probably to make a big difference in the lives of the people that are around you. It could be about not having a glass ceiling or not having a ceiling of achievement for your business, to have your income directly correlated to the work that you do. It might also be about flexibility of time. So we really want to make sure that we're setting goals and we're looking at what that looks like. You can see week 2, what some of those topics are. I'm not going to spend some time on that now because we are going to be in the thick of it, but you will be able to review this at a later date. The following 2 weeks, so after week 1 and week 2 of Spark, we have week 3 and week 4, and those are Elementals. And this is really the foundational core piece of our business. So understanding prospecting, understanding marketing, how to do open houses and how to do open houses virtually. Seller appointments, what does that look like when I'm actually sitting down and doing a seller appointment? Buyer appointments, so that you can see the best way to do a buyer appointment. Just so that you know, every Thursday, we also have the launch masterminds. And this is a really wonderful time for us to be spending our conversations on some of those core fundamental things. So I will actually be doing a mock buyer consultation on Thursday at noon, right here on this link directly following Ignite, which is actually going to show you how to go through a buyer consultation using the buyer brokerage agreement. That'll be really helpful for those of you that are going to be meeting with buyers. You want to get a buyer brokerage agreement signed, and yet you haven't really figured out how to incorporate it into your consultation. We're going to be taking an hour on Thursday to do that. Making and receiving offers. So you've worked with a seller, you've worked with a buyer, you've either had showings or you are showing property. You actually found one that wants to make an offer or you want to make an offer on. And so we now have to get our paperwork together, be able to submit that to the other side. Negotiating the deal is going to be a big focus for us. Financial basics, so understanding how to manage your money, the things that are core. And then market center specific. This is a time where I'll pull in Ms. Kat Bostian and Eve Sawicki, and we'll talk about some of the ways that you can ensure that you are being in compliance, that you're getting the material and things that we need to ensure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and that you get paid at the closing table. So we got really great information every single day that we're here. For those of you that are curious, how is this going to be different than Pivot? Should I do both? Pivot, which is offered by MAPS Coaching, is really going to be focused on mindset, and it's going to be focused on skills. Ignite, we're talking about the foundational core of your business. So these are the models, systems, and tools to help you be effective. Pivot's going to show you how to take those model systems and tools and apply them to having a very effective business with the information that you have and your time that you have allotted. So your daily 10-4, Rachel was talking a little bit about this during Power Up. And one of the things to take into consideration is that there are habits that a top agent should be doing every single day. And I'm curious, for those of you that were in Ignite before, how these habits and things might have changed for you, how they might have become even stronger. So let's go ahead to the chat box for a moment. I would love to hear from those of you that are doing the daily 10-4 every day. Those of you that came through Ignite for the last 4 weeks, how have these habits been a little bit stronger or have been incorporated a little bit more into your daily schedule than before? While you're doing that, I see Rachel. Rachel, what do you got for us?
I just popped back in because I heard you talking about this. You know, we talked about this at Power Up this morning and pretty much every morning about our change in environment that we've experienced in the last 6 weeks and how it's impacted our normal daily habits. And I'll be the first to admit that I have completely gotten out of this routine. And that is why I did register for Pivot, because I am looking for ways to get back into this routine. I don't think it matters what our world is doing. We still have to generate business for our livelihood.
Absolutely.
Could you imagine if small businesses and restaurants right now were reaching out 10 contacts a day and asking? I mean, I know you've told the story many times of your dad, but I know several small business owners, small restaurant owners. Could you imagine what their takeout would look like if they were calling their friends and family saying, hey, just wanted to remind you that we are open for delivery and takeout. Please keep us in mind.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the idea of being prospecting based and marketing enhanced, which is something we're going to talk about in the future, is so foreign to almost all of the small businesses.
Well, and anybody who has a degree in marketing or business administration, like this concept is completely foreign. And it's, I talk with Audrey about it all the time. She wants to make ads and boost things on social media, but the concept of actually contacting somebody, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, and think of it, or it's almost thought to be, this is what you do in the beginning. You pound the pavement in the beginning, you knock on doors, you build relationships, and once you have the relationships, then you don't need to do it anymore. You now have the money, you can go ahead and spend that money on marketing. We talk about sweat equity and check equity here a lot. And obviously the prospecting is sweat equity. It's the thing that it's you doing the activities. And yeah, it would completely transform a lot of the businesses that are in our area, because unless I see your ad or unless I drive past you, how do I know that you exist?
And even if I see your ad and drive past you, it's not that personal touch. And, I know one of the owners of Mary Margaret's, Aaron Vandora, and I ran into him at the grocery store with that personal touch and knowing he has a family with 3 small children and that he, probably just took a big chunk of his life savings to open up this dream. And he let me know, hey, we're still open for takeout and delivery. Please keep us in mind. I mean, that resonated with me so much. I think about him almost every day.
Yeah.
Now, if he would reach out to me or if other restaurants would reach out to me, I'd be so much more likely to go out of my way to support them because people matter.
Absolutely. And so what's interesting about this is if it would completely transform someone else's business, imagine what it can do for yours when it's the foundation that's there. Number one. Number two, people get into business for profit, hopefully. And we talk about what that looks like for certain individuals and a clear expectation or what might be an expectation. And yet the point here is to make sure that you're building those core habits so that in a great market and a not so great market, whether you have a ton of money to spend on marketing or not, you don't have to. You can keep a lot of that money for yourself to reinvest in your business, to reinvest in your family, to go on vacation, to do whatever it is that you want to do because you've been intentional about that money. To Eve's point, she says after being on a bender for the last 2 weeks of lockdown, that the 411 really helps her to be purposeful in this very different environment. She didn't say bender, I just thought that I should throw that in. She said after partying for the first 2 weeks of lockdown, not really knowing what that looks like. The 411, which is a tool that allows you to be really intentional about the activities that are your most important activities. So the daily 10-4 are these. We should have 10 conversations every single day or add 10 people to the database. So these don't have to be new people to you. They should just be or either way, 411 or the 10-4. Either way, we want to add 10 new contacts to the database every single day. These don't have to be new people to you. I might have 10 people from my phone that need to be put into command. I might have 10 people on Facebook that need to be put in command. I might have some name in command, and yet I don't have their phone number, their email, their mailing address, their birthday. I'm just going to be constantly feeding that information with 10 people every single day. And then what I want to do is I want to speak with 10 people that are in my database. So having 10 meaningful conversations, Rachel will say, just have a conversation in general. A meaningful conversation for me during this time is to have that care call, to do the Ford method, to check in with individuals, let them know that you're here, let them know if there's anything that you can do to help them. Speak with those 10 people every day. Write down notes, write down the things from the conversation. Are they working? Are they able to work from home? Are they back in the office? Are the children doing virtual school? How are they doing with virtual school? Do they need a tutor? Do they need any food or any supplies that you might be able to help them with? Again, just speaking with individuals and letting them know that you're here. Interest rates are still very low. So do they need to refinance possibly to save a couple $100 a month or a year? Is it something where maybe they're looking to get a bigger home? There's a huge opportunity here that when we're speaking, the conversation can start just from curiosity around their family, their occupation, their recreation, and their dreams. And we can lead to a place of how can I come from contribution, whether it's real estate related or not.
Just real quick, Michael, I think it's important that we are also immersing ourselves in the information of real estate. And tomorrow at our 11 o'clock sales meeting, Lisa Spencer is going to be sharing some statistics with us. She shared these statistics on Friday with me, and I don't remember the exact number of listings that the Beach, Seminole, and St. Pete offices took in the month of April, but I remember one very profound statistic, that the listings that we took in the month of April had an average days on market of 5.
Wow.
And that's powerful. And another aspect of that she shared is right now institutional investors are not investing in real estate. So if you have a first-time home buyer that might have been sitting on the fence or wanting to wait, that right now with interest rates being as low as they are, they do not have to compete with the cash buyer of the institutional investors, the ones that are just going out and buying these properties and then putting them back up for rent. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Make sure that you're tuning in on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock. She'll share all of the statistics with you. But until then, if you had some people in your pipeline that are looking in that price point that you'd be competing typically with the cash investor, now is the time to get them in there.
Yeah, and I think that that's a wonderful thing. I didn't even think of that in terms of how many people, if you were working with a buyer in the fourth quarter of last year, pretty much all of last year, but fourth quarter of last year, even parts of first quarter, how many first-time home buyers were beat out in multiple offer situations. They had to use an escalation clause. They were trying to pull everything possible, and yet they were getting beat out by cash buyers. They were getting beat out by stronger offers. And now that competition is putting a pause on themselves. So what a great opportunity if you have those people that have been on the fence. We don't know what's going to happen to interest rates. We just know that historically they're at an all-time low. We don't know what's going to happen with investors, and yet we know that right now they're taking a pause to figure out what's going on. So it's so important that we do that. Linda asked, you mentioned a tutor. If someone needs a tutor for their kids, how does Keller Williams help them with that? They don't. However, you probably have a great network of people. You might have some teachers, you might have some teenagers, you might have some individuals that can help them. I know that on YouTube, there are a ton of teachers and students that are spending hours on video teaching and tutoring concepts, whether they're social studies, whether it's mathematics, whether it's science. Just simply you knowing that there's a resource on YouTube might be something that you can give to a parent that's going to be able to help. The point here is for you to be resourceful, and that it's not about Keller Williams, it's about you and what you can offer to them. But great question, Linda. If ever you're needing answers for some of these things, whether it's a local vendor, whether it's a local tutor, whether it's a local dog walker, whatever it might be. I promise that there's someone in this room, there's someone on Cappers in Training, there's someone in your world within Keller Williams that knows someone who can help someone in your sphere. That's why it's so important for us to be connected and for us to ask great questions. So we're adding those people to the database. We're having the 10 conversations with our people every single day. We're writing 10 notes to follow up with those people and saying thank you. They're taking time out of their day to help you provide for you and your family. And so just a simple note to say thank you for them taking the time. You're thinking about them. They're going to get through COVID. We're all in this together, whatever it might be. Just leaving a note, because it's so important that people get a handwritten note. I know a lot of people are like, well, can I just send an email? Can I just send a text message? And the way that I love to do this example is just think about on your birthday or my birthday. So on my birthday, you know, I have more than 2,000 people on my Facebook. And so in the chat box, I want you to tell me, how many people do you think posted on my timeline when it was my birthday? Linda thinks only 5 people like me. Okay. Eve said 459. Yeah, the price is right, not to go over. I appreciate that, Eve. Kat said 300 plus. Yeah, probably somewhere in excess of 300. Could I tell you who did? Could I tell you that I have a list of people that I have blacklisted because they didn't post on my timeline? No, I don't recall who did. It felt wonderful for people to post on my timeline. And yet it wasn't necessarily from a brain perspective. It didn't take up a lot of space. Now, how many people do you think sent me a text message on my birthday to wish me a happy birthday? Eve says 25. Doreen says 50. All right, you all think that people like me a little too much now. No, I'd say probably about a dozen people sent me a text message on my birthday. So we go from about 300 people that posted on my timeline, I couldn't tell you who they were, to about a dozen people who sent me a text on my birthday. How many people do you think called me on my birthday? Doreen says 5. Eve says 5. Kitty Cat says 10. Linda says, okay, now maybe 8. No, probably about 2. I had 2 people call me on my birthday. One is Amber Bennett, who's an agent in our office, and she's taken Ignite with me a few times. And so she calls because she knows that I give this example. You don't cry for me, Argentina, nor Doreen. It's really not about that. I'm just letting you know in terms of the amount of space that we have to compete against. There's so much noise in our people's worlds that sometimes you can break through that noise by being really intentional. So, you know, more than 300 people on Facebook because they were already there. They didn't have to leave the app in order to wish me a happy birthday. It was actually preset. They just had to set the send button. About 12 people actually had to leave the Facebook app that told them that it was my birthday, go into their contacts, find me, and send me a quick text message. About 2 people had to do the same thing of going out of the Facebook app, going into the contacts, going, should I text, should I call? I'll just call. So then they hit the call button. And then how many people do you think mailed me a card for my birthday? Yeah. One who is my grandmother. And I share this with you, not anything to be like, man, he's a horrible person, no one wants to mail him. I share it with you because all you had to do was potentially compete against my grandmother. So what would it look like when family doesn't send cards, friends don't send cards, people don't pick up the phone, if their real estate agent was the one to either pick up the phone to call and wish them a happy birthday or was to send them a birthday card? It's so much more meaningful when we can send a personal note that's handwritten to get in front of someone because there's so much thought behind the idea. And now if you're thinking, well, I can't write 10 notes every single day, I promise that what ends up happening is that you end up creating a dialogue. So I have a conversation with you on the phone, then I write a thank you card, I put it in the mail, you get it in 2 days, that person gets the card in 2 days. What are they gonna do when they get the card? They're going to go, oh my goodness, thank you for the thank you card. And then now you get to call them and go, thank you for thanking me for the thank you card. And then now they can thank you for calling them for the thank you, for the thank you, for the thank you card. The point is that you're able to create a dialogue where it's going to stretch multiple days, possibly a week and a half of communication, just simply because you broke the pattern of just sending a quick, very dismissive text message or email. So it's so important that we do that follow-up aspect because it builds relationships. You are correct, Doreen. Linda, my birthday's in October. You don't have to send me a card, but I appreciate it. And then know your market. So you need to preview 10 homes per week. So previewing 10 homes, normally we would say that this would be in person. What I'd like to do during COVID is I'd like to challenge you that you're going to preview 10 homes on the MLS per day. This way you can pick maybe a new neighborhood. You can pick a different part on the map. You might be able to pick your particular neighborhood or your zip code, whatever is important to you, just so that you can start to get a feel of what homes are going for, what do 4-bedroom homes in that particular neighborhood typically go for, when they have a pool, when they don't have a pool. What happens if a home is in a neighborhood where almost everyone has a garage, except for this one doesn't have a garage because they converted the garage into another bedroom. Just taking the information in, what are people asking for homes versus what are they selling it? The MLS is going to give you a lot of information, and the more information that you know, the more that you're going to be able to share with your potential buyers and sellers. And yet no one was born knowing a lot about the market. It has to be a habit that you do every day. So making the most out of Spark. So we want to make sure that we understand that the rest of our day should be divided up between growing our business and running our business. And so what that looks like is doing those activities that we've talked about, adding people to the database by going to agent.kw.com, adding those contacts in, making sure that we are lead generating and having those care calls with the people that are in our world just to check in and see how they're doing. And we want to then follow up by writing notes to those individuals to say thank you for their time. And then we want to preview some of those properties. So I'm curious from a recap from this perspective, how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new for you about today? Go ahead and put those in the chat box or put that information into Facebook, whichever it might be. Donna said that she did that I didn't answer. Donna is correct, but Donna also brought me a couple of chocolates and things. So thank you, Donna. I do appreciate it. So Doreen has realized that she's not getting around working. There's no getting around working on your database. Absolutely. It's one that you are going to absolutely have to do. What are some other things that maybe your mindset? I guess a better question to ask is, what are you hoping to get out of Ignite over the course of the next, even if it's today or the next 4 weeks? What is it that you're really hoping that it's going to be able to help you get really intentional about in your business? Eve said that she wants to double down on notes. Absolutely. I know that notes, journaling, writing has not always been a strong suit for me to always etch out that time to do so. And absolutely, it's one of those things where it needs to be done. Doreen says she needs to hear over and over to implement more. Absolutely. Every time that you take Ignite, you're probably only going to take about 10% or absorb about 10% of the content anyway. That's why it's so important that we're spending this time and being focused on the activities. That's what I love about Ignite 2.0, is that we get the opportunity to do that. Linda says, get help to focus on the right things, not get distracted with wrong things. Absolutely. And that daily 10-4, I promise, no matter where you are in your business, if you can commit to 10 conversations every single day, adding those people to the database, adding notes in the database, setting up tasks, following up with those individuals with note cards, and you do this systematically every single day for your business, there's no way that you're not going to be wildly successful. Right? So what was meaningful to you about today, about this conversation around this dialogue of the foundational pieces for your business? Yeah. So Doreen said that she has nothing without it in terms of the database, in terms of something to be able to sell, in terms of, a lot of agents, usually the last time that they get a paycheck, the last time that they pick up that for sale sign out of the yard, for the very last time, that is their last paycheck. A lot of people have not planned to sell their business. A lot of people have not planned properly for building a business that can continue without them. And so we want to be very intentional about building a business that we can be proud of, one that we could potentially sell or give to the next generation, or one that we could potentially build into someone that we care about and helping them grow their business and us continue to make a residual income. Remember, you got into real estate, whether you know it or not, to be a business owner. You didn't do this just to replace your job or replace your salary with a little bit more freedom of time. It's building a business. You have the opportunity to build something that can pay you in dividends over and over and over again through time, and it's about doing the work. You can do the work on the front end or the back end, and I would love for you to do it on the front end, and that's exactly what Ignite's about. Linda says, sometimes just knowing that you have resources to turn to when you get stuck or discouraged. Absolutely. That's one of the main reasons why I joined Keller Williams. I had never had an opportunity or never felt like someone wasn't there to be able to support me. We have 2 compliance officers who are here with you during Ignite today. We have a broker resource in addition to your broker in the office that you can always call and ask questions if ever there are issues that you have, or are you feeling like you're in the gray area on something. We have vendor partners who want to be here, who want to help you, who want to push your business forward, and they also want to grow. So absolutely knowing that you have those activities and those people that are here. How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions are you going to be taking? And I think this is most important for the people who keep coming back to Ignite and realize that they've been able to incorporate some of those behaviors and not all of them. I want to challenge you, what would it look like for just 1 week if you were able to successfully do the daily 10-4 every day? And then, of course, what tools, models, or systems will you definitely use, one of which I hope is Command. I'm going to show you in Command just a few things in terms of adding someone to your database. And then we're actually all going to do this together during a set time. So remember that our goal is to add 10 contacts to the database. We want to have 10 conversations a day. We want to write 10 handwritten notes, and then we want to preview 10 homes per day. Doreen says that she wants more structure. She'd like to meditate on a daily basis, read, do her 411, her daily to-dos, and her finances before getting started. Yeah, I don't know about before getting started. I just think that it's one of those that all of those things that you wrote down, Doreen, are wonderful and should be incorporated every day. It's something that we do to grow our business. It's something that we do to run our business. Remember, the daily to-do and the financials managing money is just a part of our daily activities. The lead generation is part of our daily activities. The 411 is a part of our daily activities. So absolutely being able to get your mind set before getting the day started, at least to be able to review those things that you've done. I could completely understand that, Doreen. All right. So with scripts, understanding that we do have scripts, those scripts are going to be a part of your manual. Again, I'm going to put these in the chat box here in just a few moments once I stop my screen share. The scripts that are going to be in your script book are around lead generation, to uncover motivations, to identify objections, how to close the deal, to speak in terms that the customer understands, and to build confidence. For today, in terms of your practicing for your scripts, I just simply want you to be thinking of questions that you can ask that are based around that Ford model. What questions can I ask about someone's family? What questions can I ask about someone's occupation or job? What are some questions I can ask about recreation activities, the things that they're doing in their spare time? And what questions can I ask about their dreams, whether they're real estate related or just in general? Let that be your focus today. If you're up for the challenge, I would love for you to write 40 questions, write 10 questions that are about family, write 10 questions about occupation, write 10 questions about recreation, and write 10 questions about dreams. And how much more will you have an opportunity and more questions in your wheelhouse that when you're having these conversations with people, you're prepared to lead the conversation in a certain way. We'll definitely spend time doing script practice. What we're going to do is we're going to see what our actual roster looks like. And then tomorrow we will actually assign script partners. So every week you will have a new script partner, and we will change that once per week. And that's an opportunity for you to be working through some of these things that are here. Just as a reminder, today I just want you focusing on forward. That's just your main goal. Okay. So with script practice, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop my share for a moment so that I can actually go in and send you the link of what I'm talking about. It's telling me that I'm not signed in, so give me a minute. Okay. So in the chat box, I'm going to go ahead. You can see in the chat box, I just sent you the Google Drive document. What that's going to look like for you, just so that you're aware, is I've shared with you this right here, which is the participant folder. In the participant folder, you'll see that there are all of the pages. For today, we are in Spark Week 1, Day 1, the one that says orientation. It's here for you. But the thing that you're going to want to look for is this one right here, which is your Ignite Toolkit. The Ignite Toolkit includes your 411. It includes that buyer lead sheet. It's going to include how to plan your day for your successful daily 10-4 habits. It's going to talk a little bit about what we've just talked about during Ignite. Going to tell you how to be able to get help and learn on Command and Connect. Some of your pre-listing things, how to preview a home, things to take into consideration. Resources for you. So whether or not you have questions for Command, how to access and visit so you'll see that it says visit agent.kw.com for Command. Your KW support. So if you have any questions about Command help, Connect support, or Kelly support, then you'll see that there's support at kw.com. This is just a really great resource for you if you have any questions that are there. And then here is your Spark script book. So the script book is going to talk about lead generation, some social media messages that you can send to your people. I have no problem if a portion of the 10 contacts that you make a day are via Facebook Messenger, if they're via text. It's just about you having a dialogue where that person communicates back with you. And so they're here for you on what you can do. Let's see. Where are we in the chat box? Are these files permanently in Google for all of us to access? Yes. So if you have this link isn't going away. This link is a part of my Google Drive, so they're there for you. Until Keller Williams University tells me no, especially when we have updated, revised versions of these, then of course you'll have the newest version. However, in the interim, that link right there is going to have access for you. For the remainder of Ignite, you'll be able to see some of the information that's here. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and take, I know it says 30 minutes. However, what we're going to do is we're going to take about 25 minutes right now for you to be reviewing the script book. If you want to review the script book, if you want to review the forward questions, whatever it might be, please take this time to look through the script book, see what script you think is really effective, one that you'd like to incorporate into your business, and begin practicing it. You'll hear me say this often, script practice is an individual activity. And so what I mean by that is you're going to have to practice. Now you're going to have to practice reading out loud. Do not just read this in your head. Understanding that reading out loud while we're reviewing a script, it's about the muscle memory. Your brain moves faster than your mouth. So if you've not read out loud since grade school or since your house of worship, now is a good time for you to be practicing this, where you're going to be reading out loud as you're going through these scripts. So we're going to take the next 25 minutes. We're going to come back at 10:30, and we're going to review what are some of the scripts that you plan to incorporate, what were some of the questions that you wrote that are some of the questions around Ford, okay? So it's 10:06. We're going to be right back here at 10:30. Don't go anywhere. Please be reviewing the script book. Please be reviewing your Ford questions so that we can discuss that at 10:30 before we get into our lead generation for the day. All right, I'll see you all in a bit. All right, let's come back together. If you would, go ahead in the chat box and write down some of the questions that you came up with for Ford, as well as which script from the script book is one that you want to work on that you particularly like, that you plan to incorporate into your business this week. Let's go ahead and put those in the chat box before we move on to lead generation. Bueller? Anybody? Questions that you wrote down for Ford or the script that you plan to incorporate into your business this week? So Eve needs to get a referral network going, so wants to be able to do a referral script. Okay, love that. Who else? So I trust, since I'm not hearing from anybody except for Eve, that you are just so engrossed in the scripts that you just want to keep going. Okay, so with that, understanding that now is the time that we want to call our people. We want to send messages. We want to call our people, send Facebook messages, text messages, whatever it is, and actually do our care calls. So what I'd love for all of us to do is, for the next hour, we're going to come back together at 11:30. This is the time for you to be calling your people to check in, see how they're doing, and ask questions on how are they doing during COVID. Are there anything that you can help them with in their business, with their home? Do they know anybody who needs any help, any assistance? I love the the script that we had been sending out that was, as I'm sure you could imagine, as a real estate professional, I have a huge network of people that are just willing and able to help in any way possible. So if you or anyone you know is looking for or has a special need, please let us know. I'd love to be able to help. And so you're able to just check in with people, come from contribution, and see what they need. So let's go ahead and make those care calls. We're just reaching out to the people that we know, seeing what can come about it. We're going to come back together at 11:30, where we're going to talk about some successes, great conversations, if it led to anything. And then what we will do is we will actually do a demo for adding people into Command so that you can be updating your Command, your database, with contacts. So I will be here if you have any questions about scripts, anything else between now and 11:30, and then we'll come back together on the screen at 11:30. See you then. Got about 2 minutes before we're going to come back. So go ahead and wrap up with your lead gen. If you're on a call, go ahead and let this be your last call. If not, then go ahead and get yourself situated so that we can come back at 11:30. If you would, go ahead in the chat box, say, how many conversations did you have? Were there any wins or successes during your lead gen today? And what can we talk about and can celebrate together? Again, we're going to come back together in about 2 minutes. All right, so let's report out. What were some wins during this lead generation hour? Any successes, any good conversations with people in your world? Let's go ahead and put those in the chat box so that we can talk about it. You've had 6 conversations, 1 possible new seller. Awesome. Great job with that. Who else? They don't always have to turn into business right away. It's more about the habits and the activities of conversations that you were able to do. For me, I was only able to actually get through 4 conversations. I had to play a bit of catch up with a couple people. Those conversations took longer than I had planned. So although the goal is 10, that's 10 by the end of the day. That's not just 10 in a particular hour. So let's see, what else? What other successes do we have? Doreen said that she was able to text care call to longtime customer. Last contact was July of 2019. He called her and he's not ready to sell. That's okay. It's a great thing that he called you to check in. Linda, 3 conversations, left messages with others, 2 great conversations, spoke to someone from my local parish church. I had written her a thank you note right before COVID. She said she had kept that note on her fridge since it really helped her feel good. She told me to bring her more business cards in August. I love that. And of course, how many more people could we possibly share that special moment with more thank you cards that we can be on more people's fridges, use inspirational quotes. If it's for your church, maybe use some scripture, whatever it might be that could be motivational or put people in a good mindset. You will absolutely be thanked for it for a long time to come. Great job. Okay, so as promised, I just want to do a real quick, brief walkthrough of what it looks like to be able to go in to your command and be able to actually put some context. So the conversations that you had today, we want to put those into our database. So I'm in Google Chrome. What you'd like to do is you'd actually like to go to a new incognito window. So we want to do a new incognito window. The reason being is because incognito doesn't have as many of the anti-risk, anti-spam blocks, the automatic blocks for pop-ups and other things that are the widgets inside of command. So we're going to go to agent.kw.com. From here, you're going to type in your username and password. Now, this is the same thing as your mykw.kw.com login, whatever that might be for you. So now I'm in my database, I'm in my command, and I'm going to go over to the left where we can see the home button, and then we have the contacts button. So I'm going to click on the contacts button. And then from here, I have two options. So I can either import. So if you have a CSV file or an Excel file, if you have an iPhone, you can do this very easily. If you have a Samsung or any kind of smartphone, you can do this very easily. If you have a pre-existing Gmail account, you can also download them in bulk. That way, you're not manually entering everything in. Now, on the opposite, some of you might want to manually enter in because you really need to weed through and see who's good, who's bad, who do I not want in my database, whatever that might look like. So let's go ahead and do it as if I was adding a contact for the very first time into my phone. So let's say that I am going to go into my phone and I'm going to just find someone that I've recently added that maybe wouldn't be in my phone or in my database already. And I know that I've got one. So right here, I've got Willis Turner. So Willis is actually a 100-ton boat captain. I have a boat, and we're having a conversation. His wife is Karen Turner, and so I just met them recently. I do not have an email address for him yet, but if I look at our conversation, I do have a phone number. And so I'm going to add him in. I'm going to say that I own him because I'm a part of the database where they can see what this looks like. Only seeing a Google search page. Oh, darn it. Okay, hold on. How about now? Can everyone see where I'm at? Okay, so let me go backwards. I didn't really go very far with him. So you've gone into agent.kw.com. You've logged in, right? So we're going to go back agent.kw.com. It's going to redirect me here because I've already logged in. I'm going to go to my contacts. And I am going to add a new contact. So this is Willis Turner, who I just met. I'm going to add his wife. I do not have an email. I do. It's on a business card that I have to find. Do I have his business card? I don't have his business card out and about. I need to go back and go through my bag where I know that I have it so that I can follow up with him via email. However, I do have a phone number for him. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that information in. I'm the owner. I do have a team, so I could either say that it's owned by the team, but we'll just say that it's mine. I'm not going to mark him as a lead. We've talked about this before. Or I'm sorry, for some of you, we've not talked about this. For others, we have. So when referring to as a lead, is he someone who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate right now? Not yet. However, I'm going to keep him in this space. I'm going to say that he is my sphere because I've just recently met him and his wife. They're wonderful people. Maybe I'm going to say the boating community. So I don't have a tag for boating, but he is a captain. So I'm going to go ahead and create a custom tag. I'm going to say that it's boating. So therefore I can tag him and anyone else that I might meet along the way that's from boating, whatever that might be. I'm going to add some more information for whatever I might have. So right now, his preferred method of contact with me is phone. That's how we've been communicating. Again, I have his phone number. I don't have a lot of this information, so I might need to go in and see where I could get some of this information from. One of the things that we can do is actually going to something that's called voterrecords.com. So if you don't have a particular mailing address, you're not quite sure where they are, there are a couple of states, as you can see here. There's about 16 states of which voting information is free and is public record. So we're going to see, I know that he lives between here and Texas. I would like to believe that he has registered and lives here more often than he does in Texas. Yes, Doreen, I will create another custom tag, but we'll see what this looks like. So I'm just going to put in his name and see what responses I might get. So I'm looking for him in Florida. He is not Black. He is not 58 years old. I would say that he's older than that. And he does not live in Volusia County. So this is not a good avenue for me to go, but I'm going to use voter records. If it does have information, then I would absolutely use it. In this case, I don't have enough information for him, so I'm going to go back. This is the whole point, is I'm going to fill in as much information as I possibly can personally. And then if I can't find it, then I'm going to have to pick up the phone and I'm going to ask for the rest of this. To go back to Doreen, Doreen asked for a custom tag. So whatever you want it to be called, just start typing the word. So maybe I'm going to say captain because he is a captain. So I'm going to create a custom tag here. It's already, the tag says captain, and I can pick whatever color I want. I don't personally, we don't use a coloring system for our team. That doesn't mean that you can't or that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that we don't really spend a whole lot of time on color. So, but there you go. You can see that captain is now a tag for him. About, right? So any information that that I'm looking for. Doreen, please make sure that you're in Chrome if you're having a problem. That might be part of it. Let's see. So I've captured the information. I am connected with him. So he communicates with me. I communicate with him. And I'm going to say that he is, I don't have a lead source. So maybe the lead source would be a referral. I could say maybe who he's from. I could say that he came from my sphere. And I know that I actually met him through a friend of ours, and her name is Allison Bowe. And so I could do that. So I've now created a relationship where let's see if it'll work. So what's going to happen is this is now going to save him as a contact. The data relationship source data 0 attributes label field is required. Oh, I guess because I did the. I don't know what it's catching on. So I've now created a contact, which is Willis. So we're going to see that I've added him here on the 4th. I can now go in. Obviously, you can see here the contact health score is at 44%. The reason being is because all I have is his name, is his phone number, and his spouse. I need to be working towards getting more information from him, but I do want to still put him in my database so that I never lose him. I could be reminded to follow up and ask for additional information. So maybe I want to create a task to follow up with him. So follow up with Willis. And I'm going to say that I'd like to follow up with him on Wednesday. And so this is just to check in and ask for additional information so I can mail him something. Because I want to have that information for Willis. So I've got that. Maybe I want to set him up on a smart plan. And so I can maybe add him to some of these things. Now, the problem is I don't have an email for him just yet. So I'm not going to add him on a smart plan just yet until I have the opportunity to get some more information. But let's just say for the sake of it, I'm going to do that he's a new contact. So there's 8 touches that are supposed to happen. So I'm going to start that smart plan now. It's going to let me know that I haven't set up Twilio for my text messages. And this contact is missing a neighbor or email address. So you'll notice I can't actually set him up on a smart plan until I get that contact information. But the point here is that we want to start as the basis of putting people into our database. And then as we get more information and we build more of a relationship, we can do that. So maybe I'm going to go to the notes and I just want to add a note, which is first update on Willis. So I can just say that Willis and Karen are boat captains and own Turner Marine. He is a 100-ton captain. They live in Bradenton, have a boat here and a boat in Texas. They need to sell. And so I'm just saving as much information. It's a data dump because I can't remember everything. And then you're able to go from there. So Doreen is asking about relationships from a relationship connection. You actually watched me go ahead and create a relationship for Karen, and I was able to do that just by putting her name in to the relation tab. And since she wasn't there, I was able to create a new one. So like an example of this, if I can try to do this again, very quickly, just to show you. So if I was to go and add another new contact, right? So let's say that I wanted to add Doreen. And so with add relationship, if there isn't already one, let's just say for the sake of it, even though it's not, I'm going to pick someone. Nope, well, he's already there. So I'm going to do someone that's not there. You can see that just by already putting that information in, I can just click add, and it automatically now just created a new relationship for Dawn. So Dawn already has now a profile. I'm going to have to go back in and add the content to it, but I didn't have to go out and create a Dawn separately, then come back in and tag him. I was able to do it right here in this space. Does that help, Doreen? Okay, great. And so the point here is that every day you're going to want to be adding someone to your database, and not just someone plus 9 other people into the database with as much information as you have. So this is what we're actually going to do right now for the remaining 30 minutes that we have here today, is that I'd love for you to go into your command. I want you to be adding the people from your database, from the conversations you had today, add people from your phone, from your Facebook, whatever you need to do, so that you can get as much data into your contacts in command as possible for the next 30 minutes. Because if you don't do it now, you might not do it for the rest of the day. So let's go ahead and take that. We're going to be here until about 12:15. I'm going to be here. I'm going to stop share of my screen. I'm going to be here. The chat box is open. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to be able to answer them for you. Linda, I see that you rose your hand. Do you want to speak? Are you just saying hi? Oh, she took it down. Okay, didn't mean to. False alarm. Well, hi, Linda. And so what we want to do is we want to take the next 30 minutes to go ahead and work in there. If you have any questions at all, just put them in the chat box. I'm here to answer them for you. We have a little bit of time then from 12:15 until 1 o'clock where you'll want to come back. And we have Rhonda and Marion, the 2 powerhouse ladies that run Yes Homes team. They do in excess of 40 million every year. They work in the luxury division here within the St. Pete area. and they have a wealth of knowledge about building a partnership as two ladies that love and respect one another and have built a really big business. So we're going to do our database between now and 12:15. I'm here to answer any questions. And then at 1 o'clock, we have Marion and Rhonda right here for the agent spotlight. Alrighty, I will talk to you all soon. If you have any questions, again, just put them in the chat box. If not, then I will speak to you all tomorrow morning, bright and early, when we're back here for database. So Linda said, it sounds like you are saying it may be best to manually put in each contact instead of dumping all contacts. Not necessarily. So if you know that you've got a lot of contacts, quite frankly, go ahead and dump as much of the contacts that you have as possible. And then you might weed through, because it's much easier to delete than manually entering. It's whatever you want to do. I know that there are some people in my database that I needed to go through and clean up, and that was one way of doing it. Another thing is, even if you're putting in, say, 300 people from your phone, and all it has is their name and their phone number, that's going to save you probably 3 to 5 hours of just manually putting people's names and their phone numbers in. So it's whatever works best for you. If you've got a huge database like I do, then going ahead and doing a data dump and then cleaning through it over time might be much easier than manually putting in a lot of people. But if you've got, say, 250, it is easy enough to delete people, yes. But if you've got 200, 300, 500 people in the database, it's really up to you what you want to do. Imagine if you're putting 10 people in the database a day, over the next 4 weeks, 5 days a week, you will be manually putting in 200 people already by the end of the first month. It's whatever works best for you. There is opportunity to do it either way, and I'm here to answer any of those questions. Alrighty, I'll talk to you all soon. And if you have anything, just put them in the chat box. Thanks so much.